Ancient builders left their greatest messages written across the earth itself. From the ground, we see only fragments, scattered stones, and shallow grooves that whisper of a lost past. But lift your perspective to the sky, and the whisper becomes a shout. Aerial views and satellite imagery reveal hidden logic, purpose, and breathtaking artistry in these ruined landscapes, transforming mysterious ruins into readable blueprints of forgotten societies. By the end of this journey, you will see 20 ancient sites with entirely new eyes, understanding the grand visions that were always meant to be seen from above. Why would a civilization create a masterpiece it could never fully view from the ground? What hidden order lies within what we once thought was chaos? When you look at a forgotten city, what story do you think it is trying to tell? Our first stop carries us to the high desert plains of southern Peru, a place of stark and silent beauty. Here, across a vast, rocky canvas, lies one of humanity's most enduring and visible mysteries. These are the Nazca Lines. From the ground, walking among them, you would see little more than shallow trenches scraped into the reddish earth, perhaps a foot deep. They seem like random pathways, their purpose lost to the dry wind, but climb into the air and the entire desert floor transforms. What were faint scratches become monumental drawings, some You see a hummingbird with wings outstretched, a spider with impossibly long legs, a monkey with a curled tail, and a colossal condor. Alongside these creatures are perfect geometric shapes, immense trapezoids, spirals, and straight lines that run for miles, arrows straight across the landscape. The precision is staggering, a feat of planning and execution that seems to defy the technology of the people who created them. The Nazca culture, over 2,000 years ago. They built these geoglyphs by simply removing the dark surface stones to reveal the lighter sand beneath, a technique that has preserved their art for millennia. But why? Why create such immense, detailed artworks that can only be truly appreciated from a perspective they could never achieve? This is the central puzzle that gives the lines their power. Some researchers believe they served as a giant astronomical calendar, aligning with celestial events like solstices or the rising of important stars. Others suggest they were sacred pathways, walked during rituals to invoke water from the gods in this desperately arid land. There are even more speculative ideas involving ancient hot air balloons or, of course, visitors from beyond our world. The truth is, we may never know for certain, but every theory, from the practical to the profound, begins with that same essential act, looking down from above. The aerial view is not just helpful for understanding the Nazca Lines, it is absolutely fundamental. It is the key that unlocks the very question of their existence. Without it, we are left with only fragments, unable to see the grand vision etched into the earth. Leaving the arid mystery of Peru, we find a very different giant waiting in the lush green hills of England. Carved into a steep chalk hillside in Dorset stands the Cerne Abbas giant, a towering figure of a man over 180 feet tall. He holds a massive club aloft in one hand, and his full, unmistakable form is boldly outlined against the hillside. But here is the crucial detail. If you were to stand on the hill itself, right beside the giant, you would see nothing but a shallow trench in the grass, perhaps a foot deep. You would be walking across his outline without ever seeing the man. The complete, provocative image of the giant, with all its striking clarity, only emerges when you step back, gaining distance, or better yet, view it from the air above. From that vantage point, the giant becomes an undeniable presence in the landscape, a permanent resident of the hill. His age is a puzzle that divides historians. Some believe he is an ancient figure, perhaps from the early centuries of the Common Era, a representation of a god like Hercules. Others argue the evidence suggests a much more recent origin, possibly created during the English Civil War in the 1600s as a political satire. The truth is buried somewhere in the soil and the local stories. For generations, the giant has been wrapped in folklore, most persistently linked to fertility. There are tales that spending a night on the hill, particularly within the giant's outline, could help couples conceive. This belief transformed the hill from a simple curiosity into a living part of the community's cultural practices, a place of hope and tradition. It shows how a landscape feature, invisible up close, can shape the identity and stories of the people who live in its shadow for centuries. This idea of earthbound giants continues as we look to another hillside, where the figure is not a solitary man but a majestic, galloping horse. Not far from the Cerne giant, a different kind of power is etched into another English hillside. The Uffington White Horse is a creature of pure motion, a sweeping, abstract figure over 360 feet long. While the Cerne giant is a detailed, anatomical form, the White Horse is an exercise in minimalist artistry. Its body is a single, elegant line, its legs stretched in a perpetual gallop across the chalk slope. This is not a horse meant to be seen from the village below. From the ground, you see only a wide, white trench in the grass, a puzzling groove that seems to have no beginning or end. But from the air or from the distant ridge opposite, the entire figure springs to life, a dynamic symbol of speed and grace frozen in the earth. Its age is what truly sets it apart. Scientific dating methods suggest this horse was carved during the Bronze Age, over 3,000 years ago. That makes it far older than the Roman occupation of Britain, older than the Celtic tribes we often associate with such symbols. It is a message from a profoundly ancient world. For the community that created it, this horse was likely a powerful declaration. Maintaining such a massive figure required constant communal effort to clear the regrowing grass and scrub, preventing the chalk from being obscured. This was not a casual decoration, it was an act of dedication. Scholars believe it served as a territorial marker, a giant emblem saying, "This land is ours." Its form, visible in full only from the sky or high hills, suggests it was meant for the gods as much as for neighboring tribes. It was a symbol of identity so large it became part of the land itself, a statement meant to endure for millennia. This idea of using the landscape itself as a sacred canvas reaches a breathtaking scale in a place where the drawings are not just symbols, but immense, mysterious pathways leading to a central goal. The artistry of these chalk giants is matched only by the sheer, overwhelming scale of another figure, this one watching over the driest place on Earth. On the sun-baked slopes of Cerro Unitas in Chile's Atacama Desert stands the largest human figure ever drawn on the planet. Known as the Atacama Giant, this geoglyph is a staggering 390 feet tall, so immense that it can be identified from over 12 miles away. Its form is simple, almost abstract, a humanoid outline with a square head, straight legs, and arms held at its sides. But the most striking features are the lines emanating from its head, resembling a crown or a halo of rays, and the distinct markings on its body that may represent clothing or symbolic patterns. From the ground, you are standing on a toe or a line of stones, a fragment of a being too vast to comprehend. The full, commanding presence of the giant only coalesces when you gain the altitude of the surrounding hills or, in the modern age, view it from the sky. This perspective reveals its true purpose as a monumental landmark. For over 1,000 years, this figure served as an unmissable guidepost for travelers crossing the brutal, waterless expanse of the Atacama. Caravan routes from the high Andes to the Pacific coast converged at its feet, making it a central node in a vast network of ancient trade. But its function likely went far beyond simple navigation. Researchers studying its alignment believe the giant is also a sophisticated astronomical calendar. The lines on its body and head are thought to correspond with the positions of the moon throughout the year, allowing observers to predict seasonal changes vital for survival and travel. Other features may align with the solstices, marking the longest and shortest days. This celestial function is the ultimate hidden layer, a code written in earth and stone that can only be cracked from a panoramic, aerial view. The giant was not just a signpost, it was a clock and a calendar etched into the mountain, a silent guardian offering both direction and time to those who knew how to read it. Yet even the Atacama Giant is a single, solitary sentinel. For a network of lines so vast it defies comprehension, we must look higher still, to the world's largest canvas. Spread across the Bolivian Altiplano, a high plateau nestled between the peaks of the Andes, lies a landscape transformed into an astonishing geometric web. These are the Sajama Lines, a sprawling, silent masterpiece etched into the earth on a scale that makes the Nazca figures seem almost intimate by comparison. From the ground, your experience is one of profound disorientation. You might find yourself walking along a shallow, straight path for a short distance before it disappears into the scrub, or you might stand in the middle of what feels like a meaningless grid of faint trails. There is no grand figure, no obvious destination. The logic is utterly invisible, but ascend above the plateau, and the truth reveals itself in breathtaking fashion. You see not dozens, but thousands of perfectly straight lines. They crisscross the barren earth in every direction, creating an immense network that covers an area roughly 8 times larger than the entire Nazca Plateau. These are not roads in any conventional sense. They are paths, some over 12 miles long, carved by simply removing the dark surface stones to expose the lighter soil beneath. Their sheer number and relentless straightness create a hypnotic grid, a geometric net thrown over hundreds of square miles of some of the most unforgiving terrain on the planet. The purpose of this colossal undertaking is a puzzle written in stone. Given their alignment with sacred mountains and volcanoes on the horizon, many researchers believe they functioned as pilgrimage routes, physical pathways guiding travelers on spiritual journeys toward these powerful natural landmarks. Walking a straight line toward a distant, towering peak could have been a profound act of devotion, a way to physically connect with the divine geography of the Andes. Other theories suggest they were territorial markers for different communities, or even giant astronomical alignments. What is undeniable is the scale of cooperation they represent. Creating and maintaining this network was not the work of a single village or even a single generation. This was a centuries-long collective project, a shared cultural language written across the land by countless hands. From the air, we see not chaos, but a testament to sustained human intention, a communal map so vast that only the sky itself could hold its full design. This concept of a landscape organized by a powerful, unifying vision finds its ultimate expression not in lines, but in a perfect, colossal circle hidden for centuries beneath the English countryside. The ancient impulse to organize the land finds its most enigmatic expression not in lines or figures, but in structures that seem to defy any earthly purpose. Scattered across the vast, arid deserts of the Middle East, from the black lava fields of Jordan to the plains of Saudi Arabia, lie thousands of mysterious stone formations. On the ground, they appear as nothing more than low, crumbling walls of dark basalt, forming random piles and meaningless shapes that stretch for a few dozen feet. You could walk right through them, over them, and never grasp their form. But from the sky, these chaotic piles resolve into breathtaking geometry. They are most often called wheels for their unmistakable design, a perfect circle with a central hub of stones connected by spoke-like walls to an outer rim. Others with long, straight walls are known as gates, appearing like giant doorways leading nowhere in the empty desert. Their age is staggering, with some believed to be over 8,000 years old, placing their creation in a time long before the pyramids of Egypt. This makes them among the oldest human-made structures in the entire landscape, a fact that deepens their mystery. What purpose could these stone circles have served for the nomadic peoples of this harsh environment? The theories are as varied as the deserts themselves. Some archaeologists propose they were simple tombs or ceremonial sites, places of great significance marked permanently upon the earth. Others suggest a more practical use, that the spokes and walls functioned as massive animal traps, used to corral herds of gazelle or other game during hunts. Perhaps the most compelling idea connects them back to the sky, seeing them as celestial markers, their spokes aligned with the rising and setting of important stars or the sun during solstices, turning each wheel into a stone calendar. The truth is, no single explanation fits all the thousands of examples, and their full story may be a combination of many uses over millennia. What is undeniable, however, is that their creators invested immense labor into a design whose logic and beauty were completely invisible from their own vantage point. The perfect circle, the radiating spokes, the symmetry, all of this was a message intended for a viewer they could never be. A pattern of profound meaning known only to the community that built it and the boundless sky above. This dedication to hidden geometry reaches a fever pitch in a place where the pattern is not a wheel, but a perfect, colossal labyrinth meant to be walked. For centuries, the Amazon rainforest was seen by outsiders as a pristine wilderness, a vast, untamed jungle where only small, scattered tribes could survive. The sheer density of the trees, the towering canopy, created a world that seemed to swallow human history whole. But the forest has always held its secrets close, and in recent decades, a tool of modern observation began to peel back the green veil. As deforestation cleared land for agriculture in the western Brazilian state of Acre, a startling new landscape emerged from the earth. From the ground, these were just odd mounds and ditches, strange ridges in the newly cleared soil. But from the air, the truth was undeniable. Pilots and later satellite imagery revealed hundreds of immense geometric forms carved into the earth, perfect circles, precise squares, and elegant octagons, some over 1,000 feet across. These are the Amazonian geoglyphs, and their discovery has rewritten the history of an entire continent. They were not built from stone, but from the earth itself, created by moving vast amounts of soil to form deep ditches and high embankments that formed these colossal shapes. For nearly 2,000 years, they lay hidden, their geometric perfection completely invisible beneath the thick rainforest canopy that grew over them after their builders left. This is the crucial point, their invisibility. The people who built these earthworks, who lived within this forest, could never have seen the full, magnificent scope of their own creations. They experienced them from within, walking along the high banks, looking across the wide ditches. The grand aerial design was a pattern known conceptually, a sacred geometry felt underfoot and understood communally, but never witnessed with the eye. This changes everything we thought we knew. The traditional narrative of a virgin, sparsely populated Amazon is shattered by these earthworks. They are the fingerprints of large, sophisticated societies capable of organizing labor on a monumental scale. Building just one of these structures would have required a coordinated, settled community, not a nomadic band. The fact that there are hundreds of them spread over a vast region suggests a complex, interconnected cultural landscape that flourished for centuries. What was their purpose? Unlike the Nazca Lines, these were not meant to be seen as art. Archaeologists believe they were ceremonial centers, places for gatherings, rituals, and perhaps astronomical observation. The ditches may have served as defensive barriers or symbolic boundaries separating sacred space from the everyday world. They are a physical testament to a way of life that sculpted the forest to its will, not with destruction, but with a profound and organized transformation. The geoglyphs prove that the Amazon was not a passive backdrop to human history. but an active participant, a canvas for civilizations whose grand vision was written into the very soil. A vision so large it could only be fully comprehended by the passage of time and the view from the sky. Across the Atlantic, another ancient forest hides a different kind of order, one built not of earth but of stone. In the lush woodlands of Senegal and the Gambia in West Africa, you can stumble upon a quiet, profound mystery. Scattered through the landscape are clusters of upright laterite pillars, stones worn smooth by centuries of rain and sun. From the ground, each site feels intimate and isolated. You might walk among a single circle of 10 or 20 stones, some standing over 8 feet tall, their tops rounded by time. They create a space of quiet dignity, but it is difficult to see how one circle connects to another just a few hundred yards away through the trees. The pattern feels local, contained. It is only when you rise above the canopy that the true scale of this project reveals itself. Aerial photography unveils not just a few circles, but hundreds of them, arranged in distinct groups that stretch for nearly 60 miles across the region. From above, you see a vast, organized network. The circles are not randomly placed. They form lines and clusters that follow the contours of the land, suggesting a deliberate, region-wide plan. This panoramic view transforms our understanding completely. What seemed like separate, village-level monuments from the ground is revealed from the sky as a unified cultural tradition, a shared language of stone spoken across a wide territory. The purpose of these circles, studied by archaeologists, is deeply connected to remembrance. Research at the sites indicates they are ancient burial grounds, with the towering laterite pillars marking the final resting places of individuals from over a millennium ago. The stones themselves are not carved with intricate symbols. Their power lies in their presence, their collective arrangement. This aerial pattern of extensive, organized layouts speaks volumes about the society that built them. To coordinate the quarrying, transportation, and precise erection of thousands of these heavy stone pillars across such a broad area required remarkable social organization. It points to a shared belief system and a high level of cooperation between communities, all honoring their ancestors through a common, monumental practice. The sky view shows us that this was not a series of isolated acts, but a sustained, collective project to weave memory into the very fabric of the landscape, creating a sacred geography meant to endure long after the names of the individuals were forgotten. The silent geometry of West Africa gives way to a different kind of order, one of staggering scale and relentless repetition. On the windswept coast of Brittany in northwestern France, the landscape is punctuated by a spectacle of stone unlike any other. These are the Carnac Alignments, where over 3,000 prehistoric standing stones, known as menhirs, are arranged in a breathtaking pattern. Walking among them at ground level, your experience is one of awe and profound disorientation. You are surrounded by a dense forest of granite, some stones shoulder high, others towering over 15 feet tall. They rise from the earth like silent sentinels, arranged in seemingly endless rows that march across the fields and through small woods. You can follow a single line for a short distance, but the sheer number of stones and the gentle curves of the land quickly obscure the grand design. You see the trees but not the forest. It is a powerful, intimate yet fragmented encounter. To comprehend the true ambition of Carnac, you must ascend. From an airplane or even a high hill, the fragmented view coalesces into a revelation. What seemed like scattered groupings from below are revealed as 11 distinct, converging lines of stones, stretching for nearly 4 kilometers in perfectly parallel rows. From this elevated vantage, the site transforms from a collection of monuments into a single, colossal architectural project. The alignment is unmistakable, a deliberate geometric statement etched across the countryside with Neolithic precision. This panoramic perspective unlocks the site's deepest mysteries. Researchers studying the alignments have noted that many of the rows appear to be oriented with celestial events, specifically pointing toward the rising sun on the summer and winter solstices. This suggests the stones functioned as a giant astronomical observatory or a ceremonial pathway aligned with the solar cycle, connecting the community to the rhythms of the cosmos. Their creation, beginning over 6,500 years ago, was a feat of communal labor that spanned generations, requiring not just the strength to erect the massive stones, but a shared long-term vision. The enduring question is why? Why invest such immense effort into a pattern whose full, majestic scope could never be seen by its builders? The answer likely lies in the act of creation itself. Walking those aligned pathways during a solstice sunrise with the stones casting long, precise shadows would have been a physical and spiritual experience. The grand design was not for human eyes to behold in a single glance, but for human feet to walk, for the community to enact a ritual within a sacred geometry they knew was there, a permanent testament to their understanding of the world, written in granite for the sky to witness. The silent rows of Carnac speak of a unified community, but what happens when a shared belief inspires monuments across an entire desert? In the vast, stony deserts of northwestern Saudi Arabia, the landscape holds a secret of staggering repetition. On the ground, these structures are puzzling. You might come across a long, low rectangle of piled stones, its walls barely waist-high, stretching for hundreds of feet across the gravel plain. Nearby, you might find a strange, keyhole-shaped construction, a circular chamber with a long, walled tail trailing behind it. Individually, they seem like the scattered ruins of ancient corrals or simple shelters, their purpose lost to the relentless sun. But lift your gaze to the sky, and the scale of human endeavor becomes almost incomprehensible. Aerial surveys have revealed not dozens, but thousands of these structures. They dot the landscape in such incredible density that from above, certain regions of the desert appear industrially organized, transformed into a vast ritual canvas. The long rectangles are called Mustatils, an Arabic word for rectangle, and they are often found in groups, sometimes arranged in lines or clusters like a giant's game of dominoes abandoned on the sand. The keyhole shapes are known as pendant tombs for the way the circular burial chamber hangs from a long processional wall. This aerial view is transformative. It shows us that these were not isolated, functional buildings, but components of a massive, sacred geography. The sheer number of Mustatils, many over 1,000 feet long, suggests a cultural practice that was not just common but fundamental. They were built over 7,000 years ago by Neolithic pastoralists, people who herded cattle and moved with the seasons across this challenging land. The fact that the same distinctive shapes appear across hundreds of miles tells a powerful story. It means that disparate, mobile groups shared a common set of religious beliefs and architectural traditions. Building a Mustatil was not a small task. It required a group to gather, move tons of stone, and erect these precise forms, only to leave them behind as they moved on. They were likely sites for communal gatherings, places where scattered clans would meet to perform shared ceremonies, perhaps to honor deities or to pray for life-giving rain. The pendant tombs, visible in their full, elegant form only from above, suggest a deep reverence for ancestors, integrating remembrance into the very pathways of the living. From the sky, we see not random piles of rock, but the physical evidence of a belief system so strong it unified a continent's worth of desert, turning an entire region into a permanent sanctuary under the open sky. This monumental approach to the landscape finds a startling parallel in a place where the earth itself was carved into the shape of a perfect, sprawling city. But a city does not need to be buried by sand to be lost. Sometimes it is simply swallowed by the forest. For centuries, the rugged volcanic landscape of Michoacán, Mexico, held a secret beneath its dense canopy of trees and tangled undergrowth. Archaeologists knew the Purépecha Empire had been a powerful rival to the Aztecs, but much of their physical legacy remained frustratingly hidden. Ground teams could spend weeks hacking through the jungle only to find a single overgrown mound or a fragment of a wall, their view limited to what was right in front of them. The full story of this civilization seemed destined to remain fragmented, obscured by a green veil. Then, a revolutionary new way of seeing changed everything. Researchers flew over the region with a technology called LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging. Think of it as a form of high-tech echolocation from the sky. A laser scanner mounted on an aircraft fires millions of light pulses toward the ground. These pulses pierce through gaps in the leaves and vegetation, bounce off the solid earth and any structures below, and return to the sensor. By measuring the time it takes for each pulse to return, a computer can construct an astonishingly detailed, three-dimensional map of the ground surface, digitally stripping away every single tree and bush. When the LiDAR data from Michoacán was processed, the result was an archaeological revelation that left researchers speechless. Emerging from the digital landscape was not just a few ruins, but an entire lost metropolis. This was Angamuco, a Purépecha city of staggering scale and sophistication. The aerial map revealed a sprawling urban plan covering over 10 square miles, an area roughly the size of the island of Manhattan. The LiDAR imagery showed a meticulously organized city built on a lava flow, featuring over 40,000 individual building foundations, a complex network of roads and pathways, numerous grand plazas for public gatherings, and several pyramidal structures that would have been centers of ceremony and power. This was not a small settlement. It was a major urban center, a bustling hub of the Purépecha world that had been completely invisible to generations of archaeologists standing at ground level. The discovery of Angamuco is a perfect example of how modern sky-view technology is not just assisting archaeology, it is fundamentally rewriting history. LiDAR allows us to see ancient landscapes with a clarity and completeness that was previously impossible. It reveals the true scope of human settlement, showing how civilizations organized their space on a grand, regional scale. With this tool, we are no longer just finding isolated temples or tombs. We are uncovering entire lost cities, complete with their street grids and neighborhood layouts, giving us an unprecedented window into the daily lives of thousands of people. Angamuco's hidden blueprint, now visible from the digital sky, forces us to reconsider the complexity and reach of the Purépecha Empire, proving that some of humanity's greatest achievements have been waiting patiently in the shadows, only asking for us to find the right perspective to see them. While LiDAR strips away the forest to reveal a city, sometimes the truth is hidden not by trees, but by the sheer, overwhelming scale of the ruins themselves. The massive stone walls of Great Zimbabwe rise from the southern African savanna, a testament to a kingdom whose wealth and power once echoed across the Indian Ocean trade routes. Standing at the base of these granite structures, your immediate impression is one of monumental strength. You see the famous conical tower, the soaring walls that curve and merge with the natural boulders, and the intricate, mortar-free stonework that has withstood centuries. It feels like a fortress, a royal citadel, but this intimate, ground-level view captures only the heart of the story, the innermost chamber of a much larger body. To understand Great Zimbabwe as it truly was, you must pull back. From the air, the entire landscape reorganizes itself. What seemed like a central complex is revealed as just one part of a sprawling, sophisticated capital that covered nearly 1,800 acres. Aerial photography and surveys show a vast network of stone enclosures, residential areas, and pathways spreading across the hills and valleys. You can see the clear concentric layout of the settlement, with the hill complex reserved for the king and spiritual rites, the iconic great enclosure below likely serving as a royal residence, and then the extensive valley enclosures where the majority of the population lived and worked. This bird's eye view is a masterclass in ancient urban planning. It shows a society organized with deliberate social and spatial hierarchy. The different zones, connected by well-defined paths, illustrate how the community functioned, separating the sacred from the royal and the royal from the everyday, yet connecting them all into a single, interdependent system. This was the capital of a flourishing medieval state, a hub of gold and ivory trade that connected the African interior to ports on the coast from the 11th to the 15th centuries. The aerial perspective does more than show us size, it reveals intention. It shows us a civilization that did not simply build walls, but designed an entire landscape to reflect its social order and economic might. The view from the sky transforms Great Zimbabwe from an impressive ruin into a readable blueprint of a lost kingdom, proving that its greatest innovation was not just in building with stone, but in building with vision. High on the sun-baked plateaus of what is now Colorado, a different kind of urban planning emerges from the cliffs. The iconic image of Mesa Verde is one of dwellings tucked into sweeping alcoves, their sandstone walls sheltered beneath massive overhangs. Standing on the canyon floor looking up, it is easy to see these as isolated sanctuaries, remote apartments carved from the rock by a people seeking refuge. But this ground-level view tells only the final chapter of a much longer story. To understand the true genius of the ancestral pueblones, you must ascend to the mesa tops above those famous cliffs. From the air, the entire region transforms into a masterwork of integrated community design. The cliff dwellings themselves are just one component of a vast, carefully managed landscape. The flat mesas are crisscrossed with faint but unmistakable pathways, ancient roads that connected not just village to village, but linked the high farmlands directly to the residential alcoves below. You can see the remnants of sophisticated reservoirs and check dams, clever systems carved into the bedrock to capture and channel every precious drop of rainwater and snowmelt in this arid environment. Most strikingly, the slopes of the mesas are sculpted into hundreds of farming terraces, long, curving lines that follow the contours of the land like giant steps. This aerial perspective reveals a civilization of profound landscape engineers. The ancestral pueblones were not simply cave dwellers driven to the cliffs by hardship. For centuries, they flourished on the mesa tops, developing an intricate agricultural society. They built large pueblos up there, communities of hundreds of people. The move to the cliff alcoves in the 1200s was likely a strategic consolidation, a way to bring their living quarters closer to their water sources and to make more efficient use of defensible space. The sky view shows us that this was not a retreat into isolation, but a reorganization of an existing, highly connected world. Those cliff dwellings were the downtown apartments, while the mesa tops remained the vital agricultural suburbs and spiritual centers, all linked by maintained roads. This integrated system speaks to a deep, generational understanding of the land. They did not just live in this place, they collaborated with it, sculpting its face to sustain a thriving community for generations. Their legacy is not merely the stunning architecture of the cliffs, but the entire living landscape they engineered, a testament to a society that saw connection where we once saw only separation. A different kind of silence rests in the highlands of northern Laos. Here, across rolling green hills and quiet valleys, lie thousands of immense stone jars. Carved from solid sandstone and granite, some stand as tall as a person and weigh several tons. From the ground, wandering among them, the experience is one of profound and beautiful mystery. The jars appear scattered, as if some ancient giant had carelessly emptied a bag of stone vessels across the landscape. They rest alone or in small groups, some upright, others tilted into the earth, their open mouths collecting rainwater and leaves. There is no obvious pattern, no clear reason for their placement. The logic of this place feels deeply personal, yet utterly lost. To find it, you must rise above the hills. Aerial photography reveals what the forest floor conceals. The jars are not randomly dispersed at all. They are arranged in distinct, deliberate clusters, numbering over 100 separate sites across the province. Even more telling, these clusters align along clear geographic pathways, following the natural corridors of the landscape that would have served as ancient trade and migration routes. This sky view transforms our understanding completely. The Plain of Jars is not a single site, but a vast, interconnected network. The jars were placed along the journeys people took, marking specific points in the terrain. This crucial detail points toward their most widely accepted purpose. Archaeological evidence suggests these were not storage vessels for grain or wine, but central to a complex, multi-stage practice for honoring the departed. Researchers believe the jars served as receptacles for individuals after their passing, part of a ceremonial process that may have involved exposure of the remains. Later, the bones would be collected for a final burial in the earth nearby, often marked with a carved stone disc. This practice created what we can now recognize from the air as a sprawling sky view necropolis, a city of the dead intentionally placed alongside the routes of the living. The clusters represent specific communal sites where travelers and local groups would come to perform these rites. The aerial pattern shows a culture that integrated remembrance directly into the geography of daily life and commerce. Death was not hidden away, but memorialized in monumental stone along the very pathways that connected communities, a permanent and respectful part of the journey. A different kind of royal city rises from the sands of Sudan, where the skyline is not defined by towers but by sharp, steep angles. The Pyramids of Meroë stand in silent rows, their silhouettes piercing the horizon. From the ground, your gaze is drawn upward, captivated by the individual majesty of each structure. You see the distinctive steep slopes, so much sharper than their Egyptian cousins, and the decorative elements that once adorned their eastern faces. It is an intimate, awe-inspiring encounter with singular monuments, but to understand Meroë as a place of the living, you must see it as a city of the departed from the air. A satellite or aerial view reveals a breathtaking urban plan for eternity. Dozens of these pyramids are not scattered, but arranged in neat, dense rows, clustered together across several distinct cemeteries. This compact, orderly layout stands in stark contrast to the more widely spaced, solitary grandeur of the pyramids at Giza. The aerial perspective makes this organizational genius unmistakable. It shows a necropolis designed with clear intention, where the placement of each pyramid communicated status and lineage within the Kushite kingdom. The clustering suggests a social structure where elites were buried in close community, their monuments physically reinforcing family and dynastic bonds that lasted beyond a single lifetime. This was the heartland of the Kingdom of Kush, a major power that rivaled and even ruled Egypt for a time. The pyramids, built over many centuries, are the stone signatures of its kings and queens. Yet, the same aerial view that reveals their perfect order also reveals a more recent, painful chapter. On the summits of many pyramids, you can see the jagged, broken tops. This damage is not the work of time alone. In the 19th century, a European explorer in search of treasure used dynamite to blast the tops off of several structures, believing the valuable grave goods would be found there. From the ground, this vandalism might look like natural decay, but from above, the pattern of destruction is chillingly clear, a history of cultural loss etched permanently into the landscape. It serves as a silent reminder of how the quest for discovery has sometimes come at a great cost to the very heritage it sought to understand. Today, the site stands as a testament to both the sophisticated vision of the Kushite builders, who designed a majestic city for their ancestors visible only to the sky, and the enduring scars of a later age, a dual narrative written in stone and sand. The Pyramids of Meroë show a kingdom's power etched in stone, but a different kind of power was written across the desert sands of Peru, where our journey first began. While the Nazca Lines capture the world's imagination with their colossal animals and perfect geometry, they were never truly alone. Just to the north, in the neighboring Palpa valleys, the desert holds another chapter of this story, one that connects the mysterious lines directly to the people who made them. Here, the aerial view reveals something even more profound than isolated art. It shows a living, breathing ritual landscape. The Palpa region is covered with hundreds of geoglyphs, but their style is distinct. Alongside the familiar animal figures, you find vast numbers of human-like forms, often called the anthropomorphic figures, and complex designs that look like intricate textiles or headdresses. From the ground, these are more shallow, eroded trenches, but from above, their human-centric focus becomes clear. This is the first clue that we are looking at a different expression of the same culture. The true revelation from the sky, however, is how these lines are physically woven into the terrain. Aerial surveys and satellite mapping show that many of the Palpa geoglyphs are not placed on isolated plains. Instead, they are carefully situated on the slopes of hills that face directly toward the Nazca Valley's most important ceremonial center, a place called Cahuachi. From the air, you can trace lines and pathways that seem to flow from the geoglyphs down toward this central hub. Cahuachi itself, when seen from above, transforms from a collection of dusty mounds into a vast complex of adobe pyramids and broad plazas. It was not a city for the living in the traditional sense, with a large residential population, but a grand pilgrimage center, a sacred city used for ceremonies, festivals, and burials. This panoramic perspective stitches the fragments together into a coherent whole. The lines were not cryptic messages for gods in the sky or landing strips for otherworldly visitors. They were integral parts of a sacred geography. Imagine a pilgrim's journey. They would have traveled to Cahuachi, perhaps walking along one of the long, straight desert lines that functioned as a ceremonial pathway. Upon arrival, they might climb a hill to see an immense anthropomorphic figure etched into the slope, a representation of a deity or an ancestor watching over the valley. The geoglyphs served as monumental signs, spiritual waypoints, and ritual spaces themselves, all oriented toward and connected to the beating heart of the culture at Cahuachi. The aerial view allows us to see this network, this intentional design. It shows us that the Nazca phenomenon was not about creating hidden art, but about building a vast, interactive sanctuary where the entire desert was architecture. The lines were the walls, the plazas, and the murals of this open-air temple, a testament to a society that saw the land itself as the most sacred canvas of all. Deep beneath the dry earth of Shaanxi province, an emperor's most profound ambition lay hidden for over 2,000 years. Farmers digging a well in 1974 struck not water but pottery, uncovering the edge of a secret that would stun the world. From within the excavation pits themselves, the discovery is overwhelming in its intimacy. You stand on a walkway, looking across a sunken hall where life-sized clay soldiers stand in silent, eternal ranks. You see the individual faces, each one uniquely sculpted, their stone armor detailed down to the last rivet, their hands once holding real bronze weapons. The sheer craftsmanship at eye level is breathtaking, a personal encounter with a soldier from the distant past. But to grasp the monumental scale of Qin Shi Huang's vision, you must ascend above the archaeological site. Aerial photographs of the open excavations reveal a layout of staggering military precision. From the sky, the site is not a single pit, but a vast, organized necropolis. You see 4 main pits, numbered like a modern military operation, arranged in a deliberate formation. Pit 1, the largest, is a colossal rectangular trench longer than 3 football fields placed end to end, containing over 6,000 infantry and charioteers arranged in 11 parallel columns. From above, this formation is unmistakably a battle-ready frontline. Pit 2 reveals a complex mixed force of cavalry, archers, and chariots arranged in an L-shaped tactical layout. Pit 3, smaller and U-shaped, is clearly the command post with high-ranking officers. Pit 4 was left empty, an unfinished part of the grand plan. This overhead view transforms the statues from an impressive collection into a complete subterranean army frozen in perfect battle order. The emperor's intent, invisible from the trench walkways, becomes crystal clear from the air. He did not simply want a few statues to guard his tomb. He sought to replicate the very structure of his unified imperial army, the force that conquered all of China, and bury it with him to project his power into the afterlife. Every soldier, chariot, and officer was placed according to a master blueprint, a plan so vast that its full organizational genius could only be appreciated by the one perspective its creator believed he would possess, the eternal view from above. This was not a hidden landscape, but a hidden command structure, a final strategic deployment meant to last for eternity. The emperor's hidden army demonstrates a mastery of scale, but a different kind of strategic genius was being perfected on the rolling hills of ancient Europe. Scattered across the continent, from the British Isles to central Germany, are thousands of earthen mounds that have long defined the landscape. On foot, these sites feel like natural features, steep, grassy hills with flattened tops, often crowned with the remnants of a stone wall or ditch. Their local names, like Maiden Castle in England or the Huenberg in Germany, hint at a deeper story, but from ground level, that story feels fragmented and impenetrable. You can walk the perimeter of a massive bank, peer into a deep ditch, but the overall logic of the place remains stubbornly hidden, obscured by its own immense size. To see these hill forts for what they truly were, you must gain the perspective their builders feared most, the view of an approaching enemy. Aerial photography and modern LiDAR surveys have completely rewritten our understanding of these Iron Age strongholds. From above, the simple mound transforms into a breathtaking display of defensive engineering and urban planning. Sites like Maiden Castle reveal themselves not as single walls, but as a series of concentric, looping ramparts and ditches, like the rings of a giant tree. These multiple layers created a deadly maze for any attacker, forcing them to breach one formidable line only to be exposed on the slope before the next. The aerial view shows the precise, intelligent placement of entrances, often designed as long, narrow corridors that could be easily defended from the high walls on either side. But the revelation goes far beyond defense. LiDAR, by digitally stripping away vegetation, uncovers the intricate internal anatomy of these forts. What looked like an empty hilltop from the ground is revealed from the sky as a dense, organized settlement. At the Huenberg in Germany, scans revealed the clear outlines of streets laid out in a grid-like pattern, the foundation prints of dozens of rectangular houses and workshops, and distinct open areas that likely served as market spaces or communal grounds. This is not a temporary refuge, it is a planned proto-town. The aerial perspective allows us to see clear zoning, with areas possibly dedicated to craftspeople, livestock, and elite residences, all protected within the massive earthworks. This changes everything. These were not just forts, they were the central hubs of Iron Age society, combining military might with economic and social complexity. They were places of safety, trade, governance, and daily life for hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. The view from the sky shows us that the true fortress was not just the wall, but the vibrant community living within it, a sophisticated design for living that was invisible to anyone standing at its gates. The dense, sprawling jungles of Southeast Asia hold secrets that even the most determined ground explorer could never fully uncover. For generations, the magnificent temples of Angkor in Cambodia stood as the sole testament to the Khmer Empire's grandeur. Visitors would marvel at the intricate stone faces of the Bayon or the vast cosmic layout of Angkor Wat, seeing these structures as isolated wonders rising from the wilderness. The jungle between them was seen as just that, an untamed barrier separating one temple complex from another. This perspective, limited to the ground, created a fundamental misunderstanding of what Angkor truly was. The breakthrough came once again from the sky through the revolutionary eye of LiDAR technology. When archaeologists flew laser scanning missions over the region, they digitally peeled back the thick canopy of trees and undergrowth. What emerged from the data was not a collection of separate sites, but a single, gargantuan urban creation. The LiDAR maps revealed an astonishingly vast, low-density city sprawling across nearly 400 square miles. This was not a compact metropolis of stone, but a meticulously engineered landscape of water and earth. The scans showed an intricate, capillary-like network of canals, reservoirs, and raised roadways connecting every part of the empire. From the air, the entire region resolved into a colossal circuit board of human ingenuity. This aerial view completely rewrote history. Angkor was not just a ceremonial center with impressive temples. It was the world's largest pre-industrial city, a hydraulic civilization that achieved something extraordinary. The Khmer engineers had mastered water on an almost unimaginable scale. Their crowning achievement was the West Barre, an artificial reservoir so massive it stretches over 5 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. But the Barre was just one component. The LiDAR showed how thousands of miles of canals distributed this life-giving water across the urban sprawl, supporting agriculture, providing transportation, and regulating the devastating cycle of monsoon floods and dry season droughts. This system turned a challenging environment into an agricultural powerhouse capable of supporting a population that historians now estimate could have been as high as 1 million people. The temples were not isolated sanctuaries. They were the spiritual anchors of this vast, watery metropolis, connected by causeways to neighborhoods, marketplaces, and rice paddies that have long since vanished into the soil. The aerial data revealed a city designed as a single, living organism, with water as its blood and the raised roads as its veins. This discovery shows us that the Khmer Empire's true monument was not just Angkor Wat, but the entire managed landscape it ruled, a testament to a society that didn't just build temples, but sculpted geography itself to sustain a civilization. From the engineered waterways of Angkor, we travel to a landscape shaped by a different kind of power, one built on mobility and conquest. Across the vast, wind-swept steppes of Siberia, the horizon is punctuated by gentle, grassy rises that seem as natural as the hills themselves. These are the kurgans, the ancient burial mounds of the Scythian people. To a traveler on the ground, each kurgan is a solitary monument, a distinct hillock standing alone under the immense sky. You might notice their perfect circular bases or the occasional ring of standing stones around their perimeter, but their story feels isolated, contained within each mound. To see the true design of this place, you must rise above the endless grass. From the air, the solitary mounds are revealed as points in a grand, invisible network. Aerial surveys over sites like Arjun show that these kurgans are not randomly placed. They are arranged in elaborate, deliberate patterns. Some form concentric circles with smaller mounds orbiting a central, larger one like planets around a sun. Others align in long rows stretching across the valley in processional lines, or cluster in groups that mirror the constellations above. This panoramic view uncovers a sacred geography meticulously mapped across the steppe. The Scythians were legendary nomadic horsemen, masters of an empire that stretched from the Black Sea to the borders of China. They lived in motion, yet they invested tremendous labor in creating these permanent markers upon the land. Building a large kurgan was a monumental task, requiring the movement of thousands of tons of earth and stone to create a final resting place for a chieftain or a royal figure. The treasures buried within, from intricate golden ornaments to weapons and ceremonial horses, speak of a culture that believed in carrying status and wealth into the next world. But the aerial pattern tells a deeper story about their worldview. The alignments between mounds and their orientation toward specific mountain passes or river junctions suggest these sites were more than tombs. They were anchors in the landscape for a people without fixed cities. They mapped lineage, territory, and spiritual belief onto the open steppe. A cluster might represent a dynastic family, its arrangement encoding their social hierarchy. A line of kurgans might mark a revered migration route or a celestial pathway, connecting the world of the living with the realm of the ancestors and the gods. From the ground, you see a burial mound. From the sky, you see the blueprint of a nomadic empire's identity, a permanent testament written in earth and stone across the rolling grasslands, a hidden architecture meant to endure long after the tents were packed and the horses moved on. This journey across 20 landscapes reveals a single, unifying truth. The aerial view is far more than a modern convenience. It is the master key to the ancient mind. From the ceremonial pathways of Nazca to the urban grids of Angkor, from the astronomical alignments of the Atacama Giant to the social hierarchies written in the stones of Great Zimbabwe, a pattern emerges. These civilizations were speaking in a language of scale, a visual grammar whose full sentences could only be read from the heavens. They built for gods, for ancestors, for the cosmos itself, embedding their deepest beliefs about ritual, astronomy, community, and power into the very skin of the earth. What we once walked over as random ruins, we can now recognize as deliberate blueprints. The gap of centuries begins to close when we adopt the perspective they intended all along, not from the ground where we are limited, but from the vantage point they revered. This shift in viewpoint does more than show us old cities. It lets us read their purpose. It transforms enigmatic scratches into sacred processions, lonely mounds into dynastic statements, and scattered stones into maps of the stars. Today, that perspective comes not from a mythical height, but from the tools we now hold, satellites and lasers that grant us the vision these builders could only conceptualize. With each new survey, another hidden landscape emerges from beneath forest or sand, silently rewriting chapters of human history we thought were complete. This is an invitation to wonder, as our technology continues to evolve, revealing ever more of these earth-bound messages. We must ask ourselves what other grand designs are still waiting patiently for the right eye to see them from the sky.